What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream. Pigskin Addicts here, back again. Normally I do a little wrap up, I guess, on Mondays. Kind of sleep over some things and give my thoughts on what's going on with the Chargers. Particularly really reacting to post game things and stories that come stories that come fresh out of games. Um, but here, all I'm really reacting to is this is pretty much without a 7 game win streak. Anything less of that, anything short of a 7 game win streak, we can pretty much chalk up the Brandon Staley era as over. That's why you see the thumbnail of this video. We're pretty much done. We're pretty much getting to the end of this Brandon Staley era. Um, and it has not went well at all. You can really make the argument that Anthony Lynn was a better coach than Brandon Staley was. Anthony Lynn, through all of his flaws that he has had, just coaching in the NFL in general, he was a better coach for the Chargers than Brandon Staley was. Anthony Lynn led the Chargers 2018 to a 12-4 record. They won a playoff game. That is something that it is very unlikely to happen now with the Chargers in this Brandon Staley era. This thing has been a full-on disaster. I really cannot think of a coaching staff, uh, at least in my time being a Charger fan. I've been a Charger fan for 20 years, and I've said this before. I can't think of another coaching disaster like this. I really can't. I thought Mike McCoy would be a disaster. It wasn't that bad. All things considered, it really wasn't that bad. Obviously, he wasn't a good head coach, but the expectations weren't really there. And I question if he knew what he was doing because Peyton Manning was the guy that he was calling plays for. So obviously, you go from Peyton Manning to being the head coach of a team who is not all that talented and is constantly underachieving. You're going to have some growing pains there. So that was to be expected. That's the only thing that I can really compare it to, though. At this point, right now, the Chargers were a ready-made team. They were ready-made to win last season. Now, Super Bowl and all of that stuff, that was something that I didn't expect, but I expected a playoff berth last season. It didn't happen. Most certainly expected a playoff berth this season. And from all things that we've seen, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Now, I know that there is a lot of the season still left, but we have not seen anything as Charger fans that is going to let us know that we can be confident that the Chargers are going to make the playoffs. There's nothing. There's nothing. There is not a single thing that we have seen that says, yes, I believe this makes me believe in this team. Not a single thing. We've seen Herbert, be good. We've seen him with the heroics and all of that stuff, but it doesn't translate to playoff success. It doesn't translate to even making the playoffs. So to go down this road again, to be in the same position that we were in last season, it's not great. It's really not a great thing, and that's what I'm on here to explain. This is something that has to be talked about. Something that has to be discussed. Anything short of a 7 game win streak, and this Staley era is over. They cannot. The Chargers absolutely cannot. You really can't afford to lose any more games, to be honest with you. The wild card, the 7th spot is going to be very, very competitive. You can schedule watch and you can, think you can predict wins and losses for other teams, but you don't know. You don't know how other teams are going to respond down the stretch. It's really, not something that the Chargers have control over, right? You can't control how the Bengals play against the Chiefs coming up in a few weeks. You can't control that. There's nothing about that game that you can control, right? You can hope that the Bengals lose. You can hope that they're not prepared, but there's nothing that you can do. All of it is out of your power. So as Charger fans, we have to understand this is not a team that controls its own destiny. And honestly, if they want to make the playoffs, it's going to be by virtue of a lot of luck, but the Chargers have to do their part. You can't just schedule watch and count other teams' losses and have the Chargers go out there and lay eggs and lose, because it doesn't matter. As long as the Chargers continue losing, it doesn't matter who's on whose schedule. It doesn't matter if the Bengals have a rough, 7 games ahead of them. It doesn't matter if the Jets have a rough 7 games. It doesn't matter if the Patriots have a rough 7 games. If the Chargers keep losing, none of that matters. All of it is null and void. And this is the situation that the Chargers are in. This is a situation that I did not expect the Chargers to be in by any stretch of the imagination coming into the season. All the videos that I made, right, in the offseason, all of the money that the Chargers spent, all of the resources that they put into this season. It really, really is a very disappointing place to be in right now, to be looking at a 7 spot or nothing. It's extremely disappointing to spend all that money, to dictate all that money to, all these free agents and free agency. I mean, it doesn't make you feel good. It really doesn't make you feel good as a fan. And if I'm Tom Telesco, I'm really on the edge of my seat now, because I know that my era is pretty much over as well too. You can't go out, you can't make all those moves, you can't spend all that money and think that you are going to still have a job. This is Tom Telesco's 10th season. Um, no division titles at all. And Mahomes has only been around for 5 years, right? It's only been 5 years that he's been around. No division titles even before Mahomes. It's unacceptable. It really is unacceptable. That's why I said that this era is over. And I think a house cleaning is needed. And I think we are closer to getting that than what we really understand. I know the Spanos family is cheap. I know John Spanos is not great, right? He runs, football operations and stuff. I know all of that, but you cannot continue to lose with all this money out on the field. It just doesn't make sense. You can't lose with all this money out on the field and expect to go into 2023 and win. It just doesn't make sense. That doesn't happen. This is going to be a huge house cleaning if the Chargers do not win. If they don't make the playoffs, if there's not a playoff berth, there's going to be a very, very, very big house cleaning, and people need to get ready for that. They need to understand that. I think everybody is going to be gone. I think everybody's going to be wiped clean. Head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I think everything is going to be left vacant. And honestly, I think it's going to be, you know, whoever the next coach coming in is going to be able to bring in all of their guys. I don't think there's going to be any leftovers. You got to clean house. You got to clean house, and you at this point you're going to have to shed salary as well too, because if you don't make the playoffs with 200 million guaranteed in salary, why do you need that? Why do you need that much guaranteed in salary? So there will be a pretty big house cleaning. I think the staples, the core guys stay, but a lot of these guys are going to be gone. A lot of these guys on the team are not going to be here next year, and it is what it is. This is where the Chargers are at. This is the way that the ball bounced for them. And honestly, this is where you don't want to be as a franchise. You do not want to be in this situation as a franchise. It's not good. It's really not a good place to be. Let's see. It's moving. Larry, yeah, you laughing at me with the Wi-Fi. I know, man. I can't. This stupid signal, man. It's ridiculous. I don't know if anybody else has Spectrum, but they are terrible. They suck. They absolutely suck. Spectrum are the Chargers of the Wi-Fi game. They suck. They overpromise and underdeliver every single time. And they just upgraded my Wi-Fi so I got more megabytes per second and all of this crap. But it's not working as well, which is kind of crazy. But damn. Let's see. I guess the signal's good enough right now. Let's see. Lynn leaned heavy on Rivers' experience. Yeah, he did. But he also didn't get in the way, though. And that's kind of what Brandon Staley's doing right now. He's getting in the way. He's not controlling his side of the ball. You have to at least control your side of the ball. If you're a defensive coordinator, if you made your name on defense, your defense can't be bad. You can't have a bad defense. You don't necessarily need to be the best in the league, but you can't be bad. And that's where the Chargers are at right now. They're bad. They're a bad defense. And that's what I'm going to get into that a little later. But they are a bad defense. And there's no way around it. There's no sugarcoating it. There's nothing that you can say that is going to make this defense any better. They are bad. The numbers bear it out. It shows up on tape week in and week out. This is a bad defense. They are a bad coach defense. And again, these guys, there's talent on defense. There is talent. There's guys who have done this in other places. There's guys who have had success in other places, but somehow they come here and it's not them. It's just not them. Khalil Mack balled everywhere he's been, right? Morgan Fox has played well in Carolina. He played well under Staley with the Rams. There's guys who have, played well in other places. Sebastian Joseph Day, I mean, even though he's been pretty good this year, but he played well with the Rams. Bryce Callahan was good with the Broncos. You look at all these guys; they've had success in other places. It's just that Brandon Staley's not getting the best out of them, and I think that is the big issue on defense. And obviously, we see it, and it's indefensible at this point now. There's no defense for it. We see what this is. We know what it is. We know exactly what it is, and it sucks. It honestly sucks, but it is what it is. This is where the Chargers are at. This is the reality of the situation, and that's what I always get to. It's a reality of the situation. We can, shoulda, woulda, coulda all day long until the cows come home, but it's where you are right now, and the Chargers are not where they should be right now, and it sucks. But again, it's the reality of the situation. If we win out, Staley is going to be back next year. I mean, that could be that would be likely, but us winning out is unlikely. The Chargers have not shown you anything that they can win out. Have we shown that we can beat the Titans? No. Have we shown that we can beat Miami? No. Have we shown that we can go on a road and win a big road game in Arizona? Maybe. We don't know. They haven't shown us anything that says that we know they're going to win. All of these games are not just as much as they are winnable, they are losable. So the Chargers are not a good coached team right now. They're just not. Offensively, they're not a good coached team. The second half offense has disappeared in the second half over the past 3 or 4 weeks. No offense in the second half. You can't win games like that in the NFL, and it doesn't matter who you're playing. You cannot win games like that in the NFL. You have to score, and then your defense obviously has to get stopped. So there's just nothing that says there's nothing out there that shows me that the Chargers can actually put something together and say, hey, we are going to go out there and we're going to win this game handedly, right? We're going to do what we do well, right? Which is nothing. The Chargers don't do anything well. Sometimes they can run the ball. Sometimes they can't. Sometimes the passing game looks good. Sometimes it doesn't. There's nothing. There's no real identity that the Chargers have. That's why they're going to struggle. That's why these games coming up are not just pencil in W's. These games are going to be hard fought. And if they win these games, they're going to have to be able to get stops when they need stops. And I'm gonna get into some stats a little later on that is going to show and it's going to clarify the position that the Chargers are in. And if you don't believe that this defense is as bad as it looks, it is. Trust me, it's worse. When I pull this stat out that you guys are going to hear, Brandon Staley has zero identity, just looks confused. 100%. This team has no identity. Coach has no identity. It's just nothing. It's just having good players out there and hoping that they make plays, not putting them in good positions, just hoping that they make plays. When you are at the position where you're hoping as a football team, as a coach, whatever, you're in a bad position. So that's where the Chargers are at. They're in a bad position right now. You see, I don't think we can make it to the playoffs. We still need to play Dolphins and Tennessee. Yeah, those are for sure playoff caliber teams, 100%, and teams that can run the ball and teams that can be good on third down. And that's what the Chargers don't do defensively. So again, these are not penciled in wins at all. Even against the Raiders, even against the Broncos, you can't just pencil in these W's because these are tough divisional games. And if you're not good situationally, you lose. And that's what the Chargers, they have been terrible situationally pretty much all season long, especially these past 2 games on Sunday Night Football, right in prime time, bright lights and everything. They have been terrible situationally. So we're going to see. We're going to see what they have. We're going to see if they can even make a run. Because the way that things are going right now, I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs, and I don't even think it's going to be close. I think that they're going to be out of this for pretty much the entire season. And, if you go 2 games behind whoever is in the 7th spot, if you go 2 games behind them, you can pretty much chalk it up as a loss. The season is a loss. You're not going to make the playoffs. You're going to need a lot of help, and you're going to have to continue to win yourself. So it's just a bad spot to be in if you're really looking to make the playoffs. And I don't think the Chargers are really, really going to make the playoffs. I don't think that it's You just need too much help. There has to be too much that goes right for the Chargers, including them winning their own games. So it's a bad situation to be in. You can't just continue to win and think that you're going to get in. You need help from other teams. And when you start to get to that point, as I've said it before, you've already lost. When you start looking for other teams for help, you've already lost. You should be good enough as a team. This Charger team has enough to go out there, win every single Sunday, do what they have to do, put themselves in position without the help of anybody else, right? They haven't done that. Obviously, they haven't done that this year. The only way they get into the playoffs now is if they get help by other teams, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think that they make it, though. I honestly don't. Ask me right now, my honest opinion, I just don't think that they make it. I have not seen enough. I honestly haven't seen enough. I mean, 3rd and inches, and we're not able to convert. Yeah, it's not a good football team. Yeah, right. 3rd and inches, bad play calls. Bad blocking by the offensive line. Just nothing, right? There's really nothing there to threaten the defense. As far as the concepts and stuff down the field, route concepts, none of that none of that really matters. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, these guys are as valuable as they will ever be, and we've seen that last night. It's just their talent is so damn good that they completely, whatever Lombardi's calling, they can go out and they can get open themselves because they are just that talented. Everybody else, I think Josh Palmer shines when those guys are there, but Josh Palmer by himself as a 1, he's not good enough to be a 1. But we see these guys, Mike and Keenan, these guys are invaluable. Both of them should definitely be back next year. I don't think, I was talking earlier, maybe they trade Keenan Allen or something, but I don't think that's on the table now. He was on a pitch count last night. He only played I don't even know, 30 snaps. Was it 30 snaps? Maybe less than 30 snaps, somewhere around there. But he had what did Keenan have? I think he had 5 catches for 100 yards or something like that. So obviously valuable. And he didn't even play the whole game. He would have, his numbers would have been stupid if he was out there for more snaps. But his value has been established. Mike Williams' value has been established. We see what these guys are. We see what the Chargers are without these guys. So, I think that they'll be back next season. Staley isn't perfect for sure, but there's a large narrative in the media to get him out, to get Sean Payton with Herbert. Staley needs to get Fangio to be his defensive coordinator. Yeah. I think Sean Payton has put that out there purposely. He's showing up at Charger games, and he has said multiple times that he would be interested in coaching the Chargers. So I think Sean Payton is putting that out there. He's feeding that to the media. He kind of confirmed it, right? People had suspicions of it, but he kind of confirmed it. He's on FS1 he's on Colin Cowherd's show every week. I think every Monday or every Tuesday, whatever. He talks Charger football all the time. He talks what he would do if he was coaching there and all that stuff. So he feeds into this, and obviously the media is creating a thing. Yeah, but there is a big narrative. Bringing Fangio in as a defensive coordinator would, I obviously would definitely co-sign that. But again, this is a Brandon Staley ego thing, and I think I touched on it a little bit last night in the live stream after the game. There's no reason to not adjust. The only reason why you wouldn't adjust to something is based off of ego, just because you don't want to, right? Not because of what the numbers say. And this is where Brandon Staley doesn't really make sense as a coach, because last year he made his name off of the going forward on 4th down and the analytics and all of this type of stuff. But then he'll get into these modes where analytics say if you cover Travis Kelce one-on-one with anybody, doesn't matter, Derwin James, corner, whatever, analytics say that he's probably going to get open and he's probably going to burn you pretty badly. That's what the analytics say. That's not what I say. That's what analytics say. You can go to, the what is the NFL and Amazon. They have the advanced next gen stats or whatever it is. Travis Kelce wins one-on-one coverage most of the time. That's what the analytics tell you. Why would you go in and cover him one-on-one? Why would you not double him, right? It doesn't make sense. He doesn't make sense as a coach. And whoever it was that said he doesn't have an identity is 100% correct, because he leaned into the identity last year of analytics, 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 right? We're analytically driven. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm going forward on fourth down and all of this type of stuff. Like I'm a buy the numbers guy. That's kind of what he was giving off last year. But then he comes out this year and he's not a buy the numbers guy. So what are you as a coach? Like, is it, are you this or are you that? Like, which way is he? And you can't. He's two totally different coaches. He was very aggressive, super aggressive last season. Oh yeah, we're gonna live with our decisions and this and that, blah blah blah. This season he's coming out. The Chargers not going for it on fourth downs. They're making very, very, very bad decisions as far as defensive calls go. We know that Travis Kelce was the only guy out there who could have beat the Chargers yesterday. And when you go back, and I can't wait for the film to come out because Sky Moore, Justin Watson, number 84, those guys were not running open all night long. They were being covered. Travis Kelce was the only guy who was going to beat the Chargers. So again, the numbers tell you that this guy, number 87, right? Obviously, first ballot Hall of Famer. If you single cover him, if you give him an opportunity to beat you, he will. What did the Chargers do? They gave him an opportunity to beat him, and he did. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it's not one of those things where people are looking at it and saying, man, the Chiefs are so good, and they really schemed up something that is very hard to stop. It's not. It's really not. And I'm not saying that they're not hard to stop, but make them go to their second pitch, right? You let them beat you with the fastball. Make them go to a second pitch. Like, that's all I think a lot of Charger fans are saying. That's really all that we want. We want him to go out there, scheme some stuff up, right? Be good as far as your scheme goes. But then, I just make it harder. Make it harder for them. Don't make it that easy. Don't let them beat you the way that they beat other teams. Make them go somewhere else. If they beat you somewhere else, that's fine. But I don't know. I just don't know. I think Brandon Staley is in over his head. I think we've all known this for a while now, obviously. And things are coming to head. Like, the novelty of him being the new head coach, the novelty of him going forward on fourth down last season, all of that stuff has worn off. All of it has worn off. There really is there's nothing else left on this. The book is being written on him, and he's going to go down as a guy that has ruined Justin Herbert's career, right? Or that has hampered his career or whatever. He's going to go down as that guy, right? Like I said, anything short of them winning out or whatever, and making the playoffs, anything short of that, he's going to be known as that guy, and it's going to stay there forever with the Chargers. I mean, with him going forward. So whatever job he gets and all of that stuff is going to stay with him. Now, what I actually wanted to get into here was, I see a lot of Sean Payton, and I see a lot of people in the comments. They always talking Sean Payton. And I obviously think Sean Payton would be a very, very good coaching hire, right? If the Chargers did make the playoffs and they did clean house, got rid of Staley, Lombardi, all that stuff, I do think Sean Payton would be a very, very good coaching hire. He's obviously experienced, right? That's something that the Chargers have not really had, right? In the past, what's it been, 12 to 14 years they haven't really had that experience at head coach, right? So obviously I think he would be a very, very good coaching hire. He's obviously a Super Bowl champion too, right? That is something that follows him around wherever he goes, right? When he gets announced on Fox in the mornings, when he's on the shows, he gets announced as Sean Payton, Super Bowl winning head coach, right? So that follows him around as well too, right? And obviously, it's well earned, right? He deserved it. That's what he did. He won a Super Bowl there in New Orleans, and that's what, he gets credit for. And I'm 100% for that, right? He is a Super Bowl winning coach. But, my personal opinion, right? Sean Payton would be on my list, right? If we fired Brandon Staley, if we got rid of him, he would be on my list. I'm not saying that he would, but the person that I would call first, the person who I would give a call to first, before I even call Sean Payton, I'm putting fillers out there first for John Harbaugh. And not John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh is with the Ravens. I'm putting fillers out there for Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh, head coach, Michigan Wolverines. That's who I'm putting fillers out there for first, right now. And I think right now is it's absolutely the absolute perfect time. The perfect time to bring on a coach like Jim Harbaugh. It really, really is. And again, I love Sean Payton. I love Sean Payton. I love how innovative he is as an offensive coach. I love how he was able to get a lot. He was able to get a lot out of, the players that he had in New Orleans, right? And some years, they didn't have too much, but their offensive system was, so crisp and it was so advanced that it allowed them to get a lot out of players who, historically were not all that great, right? You look at some of the guys who, like a Tommy Lee Lewis, right? I don't even think he's in the league anymore, but he was having a pretty damn good year with the Saints a couple years ago. Um, Number 16, the slot receiver. I cannot remember his name. I think it was Lance something. He had a really, really good career with the Saints. I cannot remember his last name. I know his first name was Lance. He had a really good, really, really good career, right? I don't think he played anywhere else. If he did play anywhere else, he didn't make any noise, right? You look at a guy like Marcus Colson. I think he was a 7th round draft pick. He had a damn good career, right? He won the Super Bowl. He was their ex receiver. He had a really, really good career. I don't think he would have had that impact anywhere else as a 7th round pick. And there's just been a bunch of other guys, right? You look at a Taysom Hill, the way that Sean Payton was able to use Taysom Hill. Obviously, he got the most out of him when he was cut a couple times in training, other teams' training camps. He got a lot out of these guys, but I would call Jim Harbaugh, Lance Moore. Thank you, George. Lance Moore is the guy that I'm talking about. Yes, I will call Jim Harbaugh first though, because I don't know if anybody here watches college football or if you're just a casual watcher or whatever. I watch it every Saturday. Love it. I love it. Jim Harbaugh has what the Chargers need right now in a head coach, because everywhere Jim Harbaugh goes, a power running game follows him. And this is what the Chargers need right now. We know what Justin Herbert can do. We've seen him these 3 years. We've seen the throws. We've seen all of the magic that he's able to create in the pocket, outside of the pocket. We've seen the magic that he is able to create with his arm. What the Chargers need right now, though, is a power run game. And that's what you need. That is the biggest supporter. That would be the biggest supporter of Justin Herbert. I think that would be a much bigger supporter than even a great defense, right? Even a great defense. Now, a great defense would be nice, but a power run game would allow the Chargers to do so much more offensively. It would just allow them to literally hold on to the ball with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, right? You see a drive like the Chargers had last night to tie the game up, right? Tie the game up. They leave a minute and 30 left for Mahomes, whatever. With the Jim Harbaugh power run game, that ball is not being given up to the Chiefs. They're going to continue running the ball. They're going to salt the clock. They're going to have fullbacks in there. They're going to go power. They're going to have tight ends, and they're going to run the ball down your throat. That is what the Chargers need right now. This entire thing about the Lombardi stuff and I like creative coaches. I think the Chargers do need a creative coach, but they can't really fool around with this. They can't fool around with not having a run game. This is what they need. This is what the Chargers need so badly. They need a power running game. And if you're not going to have a power running game, again, the pressure is going to be on Justin Herbert, right? Just like it is now. You can have a creative coach. You can get a really, really creative coach. You can get a Sean Payton. You can get a, whatever offensive coordinator you want. But the pressure is still going to be squarely on Justin Herbert if the Chargers are not able to run the ball. They need a power running game. They need to be able to get out there. First down, run the ball. Second down, run the ball. Third and short, run the ball, right? They need to be able to take pressure off of Herbert. This will make him so much better in the play action game, which he's already really, really, really good at. This will make him great in the play action game. And this would obviously have Mike Williams, have Keenan Allen, have any other receiver you think of. They would have career years because they would be so open due to scheme, due to teams having to come up and bring a safety down in the box. They would have no choice. These guys would have one-on-one coverage that they could eat up. And we just seen just a little glimpse of Mike Williams that we seen. We missed him, right? We missed him. You seen that catch on the sidelines with the bad ankle. That was magic. That was magic. We seen Keenan Allen, right, on his 30 snap count or whatever. Magic. Those guys having one-on-one coverage the entire season with the power run game, third and short, you know what's going to happen. You know the fullback's going to get it. You know a running back's going to get it, or you know that Herbert's going to keep it in quarterback sneak just like he was doing last night. You need a power run game. This is going to be the biggest supporter of a young quarterback. You have to support him in the run game. Dropping back 45 times a game is not going to cut it. It's just not going to cut it. And I know Herbert is extremely talented. I know he has, some of the best, if not the best, arm talent in the league, but he has to be supported in a power run game. Not only that, but having a Jim Harbaugh would absolutely take the Chargers over the top when it comes to philosophy and when it comes to toughness. And I think that is something that this team is lacking. They're lacking toughness. They're lacking toughness in the trenches on both sides of the ball. You see flashes here and there, but when a team comes out and plays the Chargers, you know that you're not going to get punched in the mouth. You know you're going to be able to run the ball on them. You know that you're going to be able to do pretty much whatever you want to do with the Chargers, right? You're going to be able to run the ball 7-8 yards a carry easily. This is going to a power run game. An old school coach like Jim Harbaugh would bring that philosophy in. And that philosophy gets established in camp because when you have a power run game and you start it in camp, guess who goes up against that power run game? The defense every day. The defense, they go up against that power run game, right? They do inside run. They do all these drills at camp, right? They do goal line stuff. That develops calluses. It gets your team tough. That's why everywhere that Jim Harbaugh goes, his teams are tough. They're tough. That's one thing that you can say about him. They are tough. I know a lot of people don't like Harbaugh. He's quirky. He wears, the khaki pants and all of this type of stuff. They are tough. The Michigan Wolverines are tough. If you have not watched them play this year, they are tough. They run the ball. It's snowing. It's cold as shit out there. They run the football. And they run the football very, very, very well. And every other team that plays Michigan knows that they're going to run the football. And they're still able to do it. That's why they have not lost a game. That's why they're number 3 in the college football playoff rankings. They have a huge, huge game. And I think this is the very most opportune time for the Chargers to go out there and get a Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh put fillers out last year. He almost got the Vikings job last year. They did end up hiring Kevin O'Connell, but he did put out fillers. He wants to go back to the NFL. He said that he has unfinished business there. Jim Harbaugh can be gotten. He can be gotten. If the price is right, Jim Harbaugh has history with the Chargers. He was a former San Diego Charger. If a lot of people don't know that, he was a Charger. He has history there. He knows the Spanos family. He can be had. He can be had. And this is a huge game coming up this weekend on Saturday. Michigan, Ohio State. This is the biggest rivalry in college football. I honestly think that Michigan is a good team, but I think Ohio State, I think they're a little better. And I think Ohio State will end up beating Michigan. And if that happens, if Ohio State beats Michigan, Ohio State is number 2, Michigan is number 3. If Ohio State ends up beating Michigan, Michigan falls out of the college football playoff picture. And the Michigan fans are very impatient. They think that they should be better than what they are. They don't appreciate Harbaugh. He knows that. So the chatter is going to be there. And I think he can be had. I definitely think he can be had. If the price is right, he can come out, obviously work with Justin Herbert. That would be a plus, right? He wouldn't have to worry about the quarterback position. That's what stops a lot of these great coaches from coming, from the college level to the NFL level, drafting a quarterback, right? You're taking a chance. Justin Herbert is an established star in this league. You don't have to worry about the quarterback position. So now you can go out, you can build whatever you need, right, to bring your power running game to LA, whatever you need to get, whatever coordinator you want. And remember, guys, Jim Harbaugh has history with Vic Fangio, right? We were talking about Vic Fangio. Jim Harbaugh has history with Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio was the coordinator for the Niners when the Niners were getting to Super Bowls and the NFC Championship games, and the Niners had the number 1 defense in the league. Vic Fangio was coordinating that. So he has history with Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio is unemployed right now. It all works out. It can really, really work out. It just has to come from up top. The Chargers have to be better. They have to be committed to getting this team tougher around Justin Herbert. You have a star quarterback. Let's get tougher around it. That is who I think the Chargers should go out and get. Jim Harbaugh, I think he's there for the taking. Michigan loses to Ohio State. I will be rooting for Ohio State to beat them. I want Michigan to fall out, and I want Jim Harbaugh to start exploring his options because that Charger gig will be there. And again, Jim Harbaugh is a guy that solves a lot of issues for the Chargers, right? We're always talking about the Chargers don't get experienced coaches, experienced coach, right? One play away from winning the Super Bowl against his brother a couple of years ago, experience at the college level, and power run game everywhere he goes. He solves a lot of issues. He checks a lot of boxes for the Chargers. Now, his personality, people don't like it. I don't really care. Personality to me, whatever, it really doesn't matter. All I know is that Jim Harbaugh checks a lot of boxes for the Chargers. He really does. He really does. And if you think about it, if you go back, if you look at his resume, he checks a lot of boxes for the Chargers. He makes players better. He worked with Andrew Luck, right? Got Andrew Luck to the NFL, got him to be the number one pick, right? Developed him in college, right? He was a guy, he worked with Colin Kaepernick, developed him into a Super Bowl quarterback, a guy who got the team to the Super Bowl. Like, Colin Kaepernick was not the most talented, right? I don't even think Colin Kaepernick was NFL quarterback material, to be honest. I think Colin Kaepernick should have been a pitcher in the MLB. That's just the way he threw the ball and stuff. He's just an athlete, but he got to the Super Bowl with that guy. So, again, he checks a lot of boxes for the Chargers. If I am the Spanos family, that's the guy I'm calling first before I call Sean Payton. Just me. It's just me. Let's see. Clean house, yes, definitely need to clean house. Yes, Herbert should drop his nuts. That's why I said Herbert should drop his nuts this offseason. Tell the Spanos family, if you don't get me a better coach, I'm out. Yeah, they can't afford to let it happen. Exactly, because if you let Herbert walk, you're letting hundreds of millions of dollars walk out the door. Or if he requests a trade, or if he makes a big stink about it, you're letting this guy walk out of the door. So yes, he should drop his nuts on the table, and that's what should happen. But Jim Harbaugh, I'm telling you, Jim Harbaugh, he's out there. He's out there and he's looking around. I know he's doing a good job in Michigan right now, and I know he seems committed to this right now, but he's out there. He's out there. Especially if they lose this weekend, he's going to be out there. He's definitely going to be out there. Jim Harbaugh's absolute culture change. Yeah, strong personality, but gets everything out of his guys. Yep, Spanos needs to kick his ego and frugality and make the call. 100%. And he's going to be out there. And honestly, I don't think that he would be as expensive as a Sean Payton. Sean Payton is going to want a lot of money and a lot of control. And I don't think Jim Harbaugh is going to want as much. I don't think he's going to want as much control. And I don't think that he would really want as much money either. Obviously, you're going to have to pay him well. But I think Harbaugh is in it because he wants to get back to a Super Bowl. I think he wants to get back to that level. He wants to show what he can do. He was not done in the NFL. His time in the NFL ended abruptly. The Niners, Jed York, I think the GM at the time, he didn't like Jim Harbaugh personally, so he fired him. And obviously, it was the wrong decision because the Niners, they had some rough years, some very lean years after Harbaugh left. So it was a personal decision. It wasn't because of football. Jim Harbaugh was doing a really, really great job in San Francisco. That team, San Francisco team, before he got there, was a 6-10 team. And he got that team, right away. Got them to the playoffs, got them to NFC championships, went to the Super Bowl, got them back to an NFC championship. So just in those 3 years, NFC championship, Super Bowl, NFC championship, first 3 years, Harbaugh's tenure there. He knows what he's doing. And that's just not by virtue of luck or anything. That was a good team, but it was coached very well on both sides of the ball. And they didn't even really have a top talented quarterback at that position. Again, Colin Kaepernick took over. He took over the second year, got them to the Super Bowl. Third year, they went to the NFC Championship. Colin Kaepernick was not a top flight quarterback as far as talent goes. Justin Herbert is head and shoulders above Colin Kaepernick. On his best, Colin Kaepernick's best day isn't what Justin Herbert's worst day is. It's just they're in two totally different categories as quarterbacks. So for him to be able to come out to LA for a team that he played for, right, even though they were in San Diego, I'm telling you, he would be able to make this team into a contender. He would be able to make this team into a contender, and he would be able to make this team into a team that really can compete with Kansas City from the physical standpoint, right? Because you look at Patrick Mahomes and everything that he does, but you would know with Jim Harbaugh as your coach, if he comes in with the Chargers, they're going to kick us in the mouth, right? We have to withstand them. right? It's not about them withstanding us. The Chiefs would know they're going to probably try to punch us in the mouth. That's just what he does. That's what he does as a head coach. He's old school in his approach, and it works. It works. Everywhere he goes, he wins. And that's been from the time that he started coaching all the way till now. I think he started at the University of San Diego, right? Not even San Diego State, very small, USD. And he won there, went to Stanford, won there, right? Went to the Niners, won there, went to Michigan, is winning there. If a guy keeps going places and winning, he is obviously a good coach. And he is somebody that should be looked at, to come and take over the reins of a struggling franchise, a franchise who is soft right now. And that's the biggest thing with the Chargers. They're soft. Brandon Staley is a soft coach, and this team is soft. That's why they get ran on so much. But I really think that Jim Harbaugh can make a difference in LA. I really do. I ain't gonna lie, you really did convince me about Jim Harbaugh pick. I'm just saying, man, you got to look at his record. You got to look at his record. You have to look at his record going everywhere. He's a guy. He's weird. He's quirky. A lot of people don't like. He rubs people the wrong way. He is a guy. He doesn't really have. I've heard like different stories about him. Like he doesn't have the best social skills. Like he will blurt out something that shouldn't be said in a room full of people, right? He'll rub everybody the wrong way. But I mean, honestly, who cares? Who cares when you're trying to win games, when you're trying to win Super Bowls, when you're trying to build playoff teams? Who gives a shit about that? I don't care. Like most guys don't care about that. Most NFL players don't care about that, especially if you're on a winning team. Most people don't care. He rubs general managers and maybe some owners and stuff the wrong way just because he's not a guy that you can control. He's not a kiss ass guy. He's gonna do things the way that he does them, and it rightfully so, because doing things his way wins, right? The owners, they can do things their way. The Spanos family, they've done things their way. They don't win. So which basket is, which basket are you going to put your eggs in, right? The guy who wins or the billionaire people who don't know how to win, but they just have $1 billion? Like, I'm going with the guy who wins everywhere that he goes, right? Small school, big school, Pac-12, NFL, he wins everywhere. Big Ten now, he wins everywhere that he goes. So that's the guy that I'm going with personally. But he knows what he's doing. He honestly knows what he's doing. So let's see. And if we somehow get Peyton, won't he keep Lombardi since he was there? No. This is something that is going around the Charger circles. No, he's not going to keep Lombardi. Why would he keep Lombardi? Why would he? He was in New Orleans with Lombardi for 12 years or whatever. Why? Why would he keep Lombardi? And not only that, again, I've said it here before. I've said it many times. Lombardi was never an offensive coordinator there. Lombardi never called a single play for the Saints. He never called a single play for the Saints. Lombardi's offensive coordinator tenures have been with Detroit, right? 2014, 2015, and now with the Chargers. This is the only time that he has called plays. And the way that this is going for Lombardi now is the way that it went in Detroit. People know that. Sean Payton knows that. Sean Payton knows that Lombardi shouldn't be calling plays. That's why he never let him call plays in that whole entire period. He was never the offensive coordinator. Pete Carmichael was a guy that was the offensive coordinator. He got named the offensive coordinator over Joe Lombardi. But we also have to remember, Sean Payton is an offensive coach. He calls his own offensive plays. So there's no way that he would let Joe Lombardi, pretty much fuck up his legacy. He would not do that. Sean Payton has a name. He has a pretty big ego, right? He's a Super Bowl winning coach. He has a name to upkeep. He is not going to put that in the hands of Joe Lombardi. Especially he sees what Joe Lombardi is doing. He knows that Joe Lombardi cannot be him. He knows this. So he's not going to keep Joe Lombardi around to call plays. There's no way he would have that happen. A lot of people keep saying this, and it's just not going to happen. He would not. He absolutely would not happen. Absolutely would not happen. Quit crying and charge yourself up. You're over emotional, looking for a scapegoat to blame. Staley has literally kept his team together with his adjustments through all of these injuries. No, he has not, man. No, he has not. And I was going to get into this, so let's get into 2 cent peanut gallery. Let's get into this here. I wanted to look at some of these stats, since you are saying that Brandon Staley is keeping the team together and he knows what he's doing. I'm not looking for anybody to scapegoat. The proof is in the pudding. So I wanted to show everybody this here, right? So we are looking at, this is the rushing statistics for defense, right? The defensive rushing statistics. Let me click on it if I didn't click on it. We're looking at the rushing defense this season, right? 2022. So we go down here, we go down. Oh, look where the Chargers are at. All the way. Is this offense or defense? Yeah, no. Yeah, this is defense. This is defense here. So look where the Chargers are at, rushing defense, right? Look how many yards. No, okay, no, it's just total. There we go, rushing. I'm stupid. Okay, that's total defense. Still down at the very, very low end of total defense, but clicked on rushing. Okay, now let's look at where the Chargers are. Rushing defense. Okay, so 2-cent peanut gallery here. 2-cent peanut gallery. Look at this. I want you to look at this here. Chargers 2022 rushing, giving up 148 yards a game on the ground, right? This is 30th in the league, right? Only the Lions and the Texans give up more than the Chargers do on the ground, right? So this is Brandon Staley, the guy who you're saying is keeping things together, right? And look at this, 5.5 yards a carry. That's what the Chargers are giving up on average, 5.5 yards a carry. This is what the Chargers are giving up defensively. This is Brandon Staley. This is the guy you said is keeping things together, right? And this is with $200 million spent on this defense. And this, all of this here, these numbers look just the same before all the injuries happened. They look just the same before all of the injuries happened. That's when the Jacksonville in week 3 hit us over the head for 200 yards on the ground, whatever it was, ripped off a 75-yard touchdown. The Texans ripped off a 75-yard touchdown on us. This is before all the injuries. So injuries, no. Withstanding, this is terrible. 5.5 yards a carry, worst in the NFL. Now, if we go back and we look at the 2021 regular season here, and the Chargers are ranked 30th this season in rushing, right? So let's go back and let's look at 2021. Oh, what do we have here? Oh, again, 30th in rushing defense. This is Brandon Staley. I'm scapegoating Brandon Staley. This is supposed to be a defensive guru. I'm scapegoating him. How is this emotional when I'm bringing up stats? You're saying that I'm being emotional. These are stats here. These numbers don't have emotions, my guy. These numbers don't have emotions. They don't have emotions. None of these numbers have emotions. None of these numbers can feel anything. They are just numbers. Like they're numbers. This is what it is. You can't go away from this. There's no way that you can get away from this. There's just no way. If you like Brandon Staley, just say you like Brandon Staley. Just say you like him personally. But don't say that I'm being emotional, because the numbers don't have emotions. Numbers tell the story. Numbers don't have emotions. They just tell the story of what your team does. Again, last season, 138 yards a game. Only 2 worst teams. 142 by Houston, 146 by Pittsburgh. And then last year, the Chargers were even giving up 8 less rushing yards a game last year, and 4.6 per carry last year. So statistically, the run defense was better last year than it is this year. Aren't you supposed to be getting better, not worse? The Chargers are worse defensively this year than they were last year. How does that happen with all this money spent? And none of this is based on emotion. This is all facts too. These are all facts. None of it is based on emotion. None of it. Can somebody please, if you have a rebuttal, please go ahead and put it in the chat. But this is not based on emotion. These are facts. These are facts here. If you like Staley, just say you like Staley personally. It's fine if you like him. It's fine. Whatever. Be a fan. But don't come on here and try to say that we're being emotional. This team sucks. The run defense sucks. This run defense sucks. And coaching sucks. And this is a product of coaching. This is a product of a defensive coach. A defensive coach, right? So I don't understand, man. I don't understand. I really don't understand. Really don't. Look at Jawan Patterson. Jawan Patterson, since 2020, Brandon Staley has coached. Let's see, bring that up again. Since 2020, Brandon Staley has coached 27 games. Chargers have allowed at least 25 points in 14 out of 27. So over half of the games that Staley's coach, Chargers are giving up 25 points, at least 25 points, right? And they were bottom 5 in the league in scoring defense last year. They're going to be bottom 5 in scoring defense this year as well, too. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's the players. It's the players. Name one position where the Chargers can't use a upgrade. How is it the players? How is it the players? Again, I said Khalil Mack has balled out everywhere that he's went. Morgan Fox has played well everywhere that he's been. Sebastian Joseph Day played really, really well for the Rams all 4 years that he's been there. Where's the players? How? Derwin James, all pro. How? Asante Samuel Jr. having a really good season. He was a second round pick. He's lived up to his billing so far as a pro. Chargers have they have talent everywhere. Drew Tranquil has been the most consistent Charger this year. How are the players trash? How are the players trash? You have no idea what you're talking about. That's just all it is. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's just not. The coaching isn't good. The coaching isn't good because the players aren't good. Khalil Mack. So every player the Chargers have isn't good. Get out of here, man. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Blame everyone except the players out on the field. The coaches put the players in positions. The players don't do this stuff on their own. They are told to play a certain defense. They're told to play certain coverages. And if it's the wrong thing to play, then it's the wrong thing to play. Going single coverage with Travis Kelce, who school the pro, who in the league can cover Travis Kelce one-on-one? Name somebody. You name one person who can cover Travis Kelce one-on-one. Name somebody who can cover Travis Kelce one-on-one. Not a single soul. Not a single solitary son of a bitch that wears an NFL helmet can cover Travis Kelce one-on-one. Why do the Chargers have anybody covering him one-on-one? That's a coaching thing. That's not a player thing. They're not going out there doing that themselves. That is a coaching thing. Coaching sucks. It just sucks. That's it. There's no way that you can excuse it. You can talk about the players all you want to. There's no way. There's just no way. And if the players really suck as bad as you said they were, they wouldn't have 5 wins. It's just facts. All I'm coming at you with is just facts. You guys are being emotional about this. School the pro, who's the other guy, the other clown in here. Just being emotional. Y'all are emotional because you like Staley. You are a Staley dick writer. So what can I say? What can I say? These numbers don't care about how you feel. These numbers don't care about how you feel about the players. It doesn't care about how you feel. The coaching is supposed to be better. Coaching is supposed to be better. It's just supposed to be better. Defensively, last year, 30th in rushing. This year, 30th in rushing. Let's go back. And I haven't even checked. I haven't even checked what 2020 rushing is. Let's see what the Chargers were in rushing in 2020. Since 30, 30, 30, 30 and 20, 30 and 21, 30 and 22. Look what they were in 2020. This was 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 32, 21, 19, 18, 17. So in 2020, the Chargers were 17th in rushing. 2020, 17th in rushing. Oops, I'm going too fast so you guys can see it. Right here, 17th in rushing. Obviously not the best, still middle of the pack. In 2020, that team, if you're talking about who sucks, that team sucked way more than this team or even the 2021 team. They were 20th in rushing, rushing defense in 2020. And that's when Gus Bradley was the defensive coordinator. There's no excuse. There really is no excuse. There's no excuse. That team was not nowhere near talented this team, nowhere near the talent that this team has, or even the team that had last year in 2021. There's just no excuse. There really is no excuse. There's no excuse. Brandon Staley took over and this defense got worse. So you're going to blame the players every single season. That's what's going to happen. You're blaming the players every single season. Good luck with that, man. Good luck with that. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Stats don't lie. Exactly. That's why I'm bringing them up. These numbers are not emotional. These numbers are not emotional. Chargers, 2020, 17th in rushing. 2021, 30th in rushing. 2022, 30th in rushing. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. Like it's there's nothing more that I can say. Nothing more that I can say. These are stats. These are factual stats that I am giving you. You're giving me opinions. What am I supposed to do with those? Because all I'm going off of is what the stats say. And the stats say that the Chargers suck. Defensively, they suck. And I don't know if you guys, if any of you guys follow me on Twitter, there's a mind numbing stat that we have to go over, and we definitely have to go over. Let's see. They sucked then, but were better statistically, but you still say they were bad players. They were bad players in 2020. That's why none of those guys were around anymore. They're bad players. A lot of those guys are not around anymore. What are we supposed to? The Chargers went out and they spent a lot of money on defense this season, and that's why they did it to improve, but they didn't improve. So it is what it is. Like, it is what it is. Those were bad players putting up better stats. They were able to stop the run on third down, and they were also able to get off the field on third down. So again, school the pro. These stats don't care about your feelings. You can say whatever you want. You can blame the players. I don't care. I'm not telling you how to be a fan, but you can blame whatever you want. But these stats don't say anything. Brandon Staley has came in and made this defense worse with more talent. It is what it is. There's 8 players on the top 100 list this season for the Chargers. There wasn't 8 players on the top 100 list in 2020. That team was, quote unquote, rebuilding. Phillip Rivers, Chargers had just let him go. That team was not as good as this team here is here. They didn't have established guys on offense or defense, really, at all on either side of the ball. No established guys. So that team was much less talented, but they were better statistically, and it shows. And when you watch the game, it shows as well too. These stats do not talk about. These stats do not care. They don't care about what you feel about the players. They don't. Brandon Staley has came in and has made this team worse. And that's just what it is. It is what it is. The team is worse. The defense is worse. He's a defensive guy, and he can't get his side of the ball right. So what does that tell you about his coaching? It tells me that he is not who we thought he was. And that's just, it is who he is. It is who he is. So stats lied. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Stats don't lie. Stats say that Brandon Staley came in and made this team worse. That is what the stats say, because he had. And it's not just the stats. When you watch the games, this team defensively is worse than what they were in 2020, Herbert's rookie season. When they were rebuilding, this is a worse defensive team than it was back then. That's what the stats bore out. When you watch the game, when you see the eye test, it bores it out too. This is not as good of a team as it was in 2020. Statistically, they're just not. They are not the team that they were in 2020. And that's sad, because Staley was hired to, quote unquote, fix the defense. That's what he was hired for. They have went downhill since he got to LA. It is a fact. It's a fact. There is no arguing it. It is a fact. It is a fact. Stats say the players ain't making it happen. No, that's not what the stats say. How were they making it happen in 2020, but they can't make it happen in 2021 or 2022? That is not what the stats say. The stats say that this is a worse defensive team. It doesn't say anything about any specific individual player. This is why you look at team stats. It doesn't say anything about any specific player on any of these teams, any 3 years. It doesn't say anything about any player 2020, 2021, or this season. These are team stats. And this is what coordinators, this is what head coaches are paid to do. You're paid to go in and make your teams better. If you're not making your teams better, then you are making your teams worse. which is what Brandon Staley has been doing. And this is what the stats say. Come on, man. Come on. You can't be this dumb. I don't like having dumb people like this in my chat. If you are this dumb, then I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Who was that said yeah, stop arguing with him. You were talking to a brick wall. Yeah, really, really. Talking to somebody who probably don't know how to read either. You don't know how to read and you keep making shit up. It doesn't make any sense. This team sucks. And that's just, it is what it is. They suck. This is, the players don't necessarily suck, but this collection of talent with this coaching sucks. And there are coaches out there who can get more out of this talent. But yes, as of right now, this team sucks. So come on, man. Yeah, moving on with that dude in this trolling. Yeah, for real. I'm gonna put his ass in timeout too. You're not making any sense. Oh, it's the players. The players are not making it. Come on, man. Get out of here. Go away. There's always at least one dumbass who comes in here. Dumbass who has the reading comprehension of a 3rd-year-old who doesn't know anything about football and comes in here and is just trying to talk to me and trying to argue stats with me as I'm pulling these stats up. Always. There's always at least one. How do these, come on, man. Come on. How do these motherfuckers get here? I didn't know Obama phones had YouTube on them because these low information dumbasses come on here and just talk all this stupid shit. Like, go away, go somewhere else. Go to, but I don't know, go to somebody else's channel. Go be a Raider fan. Go, god damn, man. There's always a dumbass in here. There's always a dumbass. Always. Like, please go away. Please go away. Yeah, the Obama phones. Yes, the Obama phone. He talking like he got an Obama phone. We all know people got an Obama phone. At least I do. And they argue. They will argue with a signboard. They don't know shit about shit, but they always argue with somebody. It's like, man, come on, man. Come on. Oh, this is a good one right here. What are your thoughts on Brian Flores? I like Brian Flores as a defensive coordinator. I don't think that he has the communication skills to be a head coach. Well, at least based off of his tenure in Miami. None of the players liked him. And this is aside from everything else that he was going, with the lawsuit and all of that stuff. The players just didn't like him. He did not connect with them enough. So I think that he has some growing to do as a coach, right? If he wants to get back to being a head coach. Defensively, though, I like him as a coordinator. If Staley gets fired and they bring on somebody else, whatever, I like him as a coordinator. If he is a defensive coordinator, I like him because he turned Miami's defense around in a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it was. They had a top 5 defense. Was it top 5, top 10, something like that, whatever. But they had a really top flight defense. They were scheming and stopping really good teams. They stopped Lamar Jackson. They stopped the Patriots. They were able to beat Tom Brady when he was still there. Like, they had a very, very good defense. He has a very, very good defensive mind. I think, he is just, biding his time in Pittsburgh. I think he knows that he's going to have some opportunities coming up here within this coaching cycle. Again, not as a head coach, but I think if somebody does get hired, I would not be surprised if they bring him on as the defensive coordinator because he's shown that he can do that. I think he has a lot of talent. I would love if the Chargers had him as the defensive coordinator. He obviously is a much, 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 much more experienced defensive mind, much better defensive mind than Brandon Staley. They run the same scheme, but Brian Flores knows what he's doing. We cannot say the same about Brandon Staley defensively. Obviously, the Tua thing was a big it was a big mark on his record, but he's not an offensive coach. He got his side of the ball right when he was in Miami. And that's what I'm saying about Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley's not getting his side of the ball right. He has been doing this 27 games. Defense has not been good any of the time that Brandon Staley has been here. Any of his tenure, it has not been good. So at least Brian Flores got his side of the ball right. So I would like to have Brian Flores as a coordinator with, another head coach, right? Another offensive minded head coach. I would love that. If Vic Fangio wasn't interested in it or whatever, I would love to have Brian Flores. I think he has a very, very good defensive mind. We've seen it on display in Miami. But again, I think just from the head coaching perspective, I don't know if he connects with the players. He kind of has that New England assholish type of vibe, and I don't think a lot of players really like that. They don't like Josh McDaniels. A lot of players in Detroit didn't like Matt Patricia. They kind of just have this arrogance, like the New England type of arrogance about them. And I don't know. I don't know. Unless he's made wholesale changes and he can connect with players better, then I think he should be a defensive coordinator right now. But I think he will be a head coach again. I think he just has to continue to develop. They need a coach with a voice, demands respect, and the players will respond. Yeah, the defense is beat up, but there's no heart when they're out there. Right. Yeah, they need somebody who they're going to respect, and somebody who is going to put players in positions to succeed. Right. They're going to have, and that's why I say Jim Harbaugh, because even though Jim Harbaugh is the head coach, right? Even though Jim Harbaugh is the head coach in Michigan, he doesn't call plays. He doesn't call plays. He has offensive court. Well, the Michigan, the way that they are right now, they have co-offensive coordinators. So they technically have two offensive coordinators, but he delegates though. He doesn't call plays. He doesn't call plays offensively or defensively. He delegates, right? He has really, really made a name for himself when it comes to hiring, assistant coaches, right? He elevates guys. He's able to get the most out of his assistant coaches as well, too. So it's not just a thing with him with Harbaugh coming in X and O. He hires his coaching hires, his assistant coaching hires are really, really, really good, really quality coaches that he hires. So I think that goes to getting the entire team better, right? It's not just the offensive thing. It's not just the scheme or whatever. It's getting the entire team better. So Harbaugh would make good hires, right? If Fangio was available, I think he would try to reach out to Fangio and try to get him to come, right? If he was the head coach of the Chargers, he would try to get him to come, but he makes good hires. He makes good coaching hires, and I think that's something that gets overlooked sometimes with a lot of coaches. Who do you hire as coaches, right? Who do you hire? What assistants do you have around you? Because it's not just you, right? You have to have guys who are similar thinkers to you, right? Like-minded guys who kind of see the game the same way that you see it. Like you have to have guys who are on your staff that are able to do things that you're able to do, right? Maybe they're just not as experienced as you. They don't have the names as you, but they see the game the same way you see. So if you make the right hires, if you make the right coaching hires, right? Wide receiver coach, linebackers coach, offensive line coach, your entire team benefits from that. So this is why I think Jim Harbaugh would be a very, very, very good fit, because I think Sean Payton, as talented as he is, I don't know who he would hire as defensive coordinator. I don't know who he would hire, to cover some of the other positions, right? I didn't like some of his hires in New Orleans. They had a historically bad defense in New Orleans. I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2015-ish, I want to say. Maybe 2015, something like that, 2014, 2015. He had Rob Ryan as defensive coordinator. There was a couple other hires that I didn't like. I didn't like his hires. I didn't like Sean Payton's hires. So I like Jim Harbaugh's hires everywhere that he has went. All his hires are really, really, really good coaches, right? They hit it. He hits it right on the head with all of the coaching hires, and the entire team benefits from it. And that's why I think Jim Harbaugh would be a better fit for the Chargers, because he does hire better. He hires a little better than Sean Payton. And that's something that I would want to see him do with the Chargers, because if he was able to hire who he wanted to hire, everybody gets better. 1 through 53 gets better. It's not just Herbert. It's not just the offense. It's not just the run game. Everybody gets better. Vic Fangio takes over the defense. Everybody gets better. The position groups, everybody gets better, right? DBs get better. Linebackers get better. Defensive line gets better. Everybody gets better by hiring a coach who is established like Jim Harbaugh and has shown that he has the track record of hiring coaches under him who know what they're doing, pretty much. So I like Harbaugh for that, because he hires great coaches. He hires great coaches under him. Let's see. Damn, I miss Anthony Lynn, man. I know. I was like, I was thinking that too. It was like, man, Anthony Lynn Staley won't even get to that level, a 12-win season. a 12 win, even with the extra game. That was only a 16 game season, right? They only lost 4 games. Chargers only lost 4 games that 2018 season. So Staley has not gotten close to that, and he won't get close to that this year either. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. Let's see, where are we at? No more inexperienced coaches. 100%. 100%. That's why I think Jim Harbaugh is he's there. He's there for the taking. Jim Harbaugh. I'd be happy with Sean Payton too, but somebody that's experienced, somebody that knows what they're doing, somebody who's not in over their head. Notice with Staley's defense, they will invite you to run the ball, but can't make a stop. Yeah, 100%. They can't stop the run out of the base formation, and that's a huge, huge problem. The only time that the Chargers stopped the run game is when they had to go to that 6-1 front. But then you are susceptible to passing, right? You're susceptible to being thrown on, right? Because all you need is 3 guys in a route, and it's pretty much man-to-man coverage. So there's a risk in playing that too much as well, too. Chargers didn't pull that out a whole lot at all. I think I seen it one time yesterday against the Chiefs, and rightfully so, because Patrick Mahomes will carve that up, especially if you don't get to him. What about the Chiefs' offensive coordinator for our coach, Eric Bieniemy? I don't know. 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 He's a better offensive mind, obviously, but again, another inexperienced offensive coach. I just think we need somebody experienced. I really think we need somebody who has coached at the NFL level before, that has had success, preferably a Super Bowl playoff run, whatever. You need somebody who's experienced. Eric Bieniemy is not. This would be his first time being a head coach, taking over a team like this who's ready to win now. I don't know. I just don't know. We'll see though. Here we go again with School to Pro. I haven't seen. Is he back? Oh, damn, man. Go away. Go away. All right, man. I got him up out of here. I just don't. I got him out of here. I blocked him. All this stupid shit in the chat, messing up the chat. Everybody else is contributing. We're having good ass conversation in here, and here comes this clown with all this dumb shit. This dumb shit. So I had to block him out of here. Everybody else, though, I appreciate. I love coming on here. Love having these discussions. Let's see. Knowing the Spanos family, they'll try to recruit Dan Fouts. No, Dan Fouts is not up to it. He would be like, "No, y'all are crazy." I don't even think he'd be at the games. I don't even see him at the games. They don't even show him at all. So I don't know. I don't think that he stopped broadcasting full time for CBS too. So there's no way he wants to take over this mess. Imagine Herbert with the Kansas City playbook. Yeah, but it's a lot of that stuff is Andy Reid though. So again, if you're not Andy Reid, if you don't have that mind, then it's just it would be. And I'm not saying it would be like 1-to-1, but Eric Bieniemy with the Chargers would kind of be like Joe Lombardi calling Sean Payton's offense, right? Now, I think Eric Bieniemy is a better offensive coach than Joe Lombardi all the way around, right? I'm not saying that it would be the same thing, but it will kind of be a great value version of it. You know what I'm saying? It will kind of be a great value version. And I think the Chargers have to establish identity. I don't think you can go and copycat. I don't think you can say, man, look at Mahomes, look what he does. Look at he has Andy Reid. Andy Reid is one of one. Mahomes is one of one. They have their own thing going on. I think the Chargers need to establish. They don't need to copycat anybody. They need to establish their own identity, right? The Chargers have always been known, right? Ever since I've been a fan, there's a lot of you guys here in the chat who have. You guys are older than me, right? You guys have been fans. I talk to you guys all the time. There's people who said they've been fans for 40 years, right? What have you known the Chargers to be for the entire time you've been a fan, right? It's always been like some run and gun type of offense, right? The Air Coryell, Don Coryell, Dan Fouts, the Chargers were pretty much the originators of this type of football, right? Airing it out, being really exciting, playing a really exciting brand of football. That's what the Chargers have been known for. And honestly, it's a franchise type of thing, right? It happens pretty much every iteration of the Chargers, right? Philip Rivers, even before him, a little bit with Drew Brees, even going back, the Chargers have always tried to like recreate the Eric Coryell, and they've always tried to be the run and gun West Coast type of team, right? I think the Chargers have to develop an identity. I think they need to establish a more tougher identity. That running gun and all that stuff, all that's in the past, right? All of it is in the past. That's why I think Jim Harbaugh bringing a power run game, being tough on both sides of the ball, especially in the trenches, I think that that can really benefit the Chargers more so than a Kansas City copycat, right? I think it could benefit them because you can still get the creativity with the Jim Harbaugh offense. You can still get all of that type of stuff. But at your principle, right, at your core, you're going to be a tough, hard nosed running team. That's what I think the Chargers need to develop because you can have that going year in and year out, right? You can have it going year in and year out. And again, it makes it much easier. Drafting gets much easier. Free agency gets easier because you have an identity. You know who you are as a team. You know what you want to do and you know how to win. So if you have all those things together, all you have to do now is go out and plug guys that or get guys that can plug into your system, right? You don't have to go out and let's look for the best guy here. Let's look for the best guy here. No, we know who we want. We know who we need, and let's go out and get them. Let's put them in our system, and then let's have success that way. It makes it much easier when you have an identity. When you don't have an identity, you search for it, and then that's when you can have copycats, right? You can have the Enemies, you can have the Matt Nagy's or whatever, and then you can try to establish the Andy Reid offense somewhere else without Andy Reid, and it's just not going to happen. It typically doesn't happen that way, right? We see this is the Sean Payton offense that we're supposedly running now, and it's not the Sean Payton offense. It just doesn't work that way. You have to establish your own identities as a team. If you establish your own identity, then you don't have to go out and look for anybody else, right? You can do the same things year in, year out. Your offensive coordinators can get plucked for head coaching jobs and move on, but you can still play the same exact way because you have an identity. You know exactly what to do. So, you know, I don't want a Kansas City copycat. I want the Chargers to develop a tougher identity. That's really what I want. I want them to have a philosophy change. I want the franchise to go through a philosophy change. I want them to get tougher. I want them to run the ball, and I want them to be a team that kicks you in the mouth, right? That's what I want. All the running gun stuff, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. It hasn't gotten us anything. Can we be tougher in the trenches? Can we be tougher in the trenches? Can we go to Buffalo in January and win a playoff game? If we don't have the type of roster that can do that, if we don't have the players that can do that, then I think we're on the wrong side of the line. We have to be able to develop tougher mentality, running the ball, have that be your identity. Then have Justin Herbert do what he has to do. But as far as the Kansas City copycat coaches, I just don't. I really don't. I really don't. I really don't want that. I honestly don't want that. Yeah, and this is a good point too. Bieniemy was a Charger organization knows his off-field baggage. Yeah, and he has. He got in trouble for something. I can't remember what it was. I seen that a couple years ago. And that's the reason why he's not getting the head coaching job. I think I don't know if it was domestic violence or something. I can't remember what it was, but there's something that is preventing him from getting the head coaching job. I know a lot of teams wanted to hire him, but there's something that he did. I don't know if it was when he was in the league or in college or something like that. I can't. I don't want to put anything on that brother that he did not do, but I know that there is something in his past that is would come out if he got hired as a coach. So yeah, I think that is something to also talk about too. I can vouch for Eric Coryell. It's what made me a fan 43 years ago, right? And it was fun, right? It was fun, and there's a lot of Hall of Famers and all that stuff, but it didn't win any Super Bowls, especially back then, right? Eric Coryell was, if it was going to work, and if it was going to win Super Bowls, it would have worked back then because everybody was playing run, stop the run, in a phone booth type of football. But I think there just has to be a philosophy change in the franchise in order for the Chargers to get better. That's just what I think. Got to be able to run the ball. Have to be able to run the ball. Good point here. Yeah, Marty pounded the rock. Yeah, he did. He did. And the Chargers got as far as they did, without winning a Super Bowl. But that was the recipe to go 14-2, to have a home playoff game, have a divisional playoff game, you know, and should have won it, right? Without the Marlon McCree fumble, should have actually won that game. But that's what the Chargers did. They ran the ball, they stopped the run, they were physical. That 05-06 team was the most physical team that the Chargers have ever had, and they had the most success. They had the most success. They had a Super Bowl window, and you know, if they were a little better situationally, they would have gotten to a Super Bowl. So again, that's the mold that the Chargers should be looking to recreate. Not the Eric Coryell stuff, but that mold, that 05-06 team, definitely should be trying to recreate that 05-06 and '07 too. '07 they were pretty good as well. I think that's when North Turner took over, but they were still a physical team on both sides of the ball. So that's what they should be trying to recreate. All of that, not any of this Kansas City type of stuff, because it just wouldn't work that way. Damn, I remember Jim Harbaugh was the Chargers quarterback. Yeah, Captain Comeback. Right. He has a lot of goodwill in the Chargers organization. I think he played there like that was a tail end of his career, but you know he was liked there. So you know I don't think he has any enemies with the Chargers organization. So I think that's somewhere that will be welcoming to him, to Jim Harbaugh. Um, let's see. Yeah, funny enough, yeah, best Chargers team. Marty run the ball down your throat. Chargers with LT, 100%. LT, and then got to remember too, even just a few years after that, when the Chargers were still good, LT, Michael Turner, right? Michael the Burner Turner, Lorenzo Neal, fullback in there, right? Antonio Gates, playing tough, hard-nosed football, winning on both sides of the ball. Those Charger teams were able to go on the road and really beat other teams up. Good teams too. They were beating up good teams on the road. They were able to go and do that because they had a tough physical mindset. They were able to run the ball. Um, let's see. Let's see, bro. If he did it in college, he shouldn't be liable for this long. That's crazy. I agree. I agree. But there's something that they don't. There's I can't remember what it is, but there's something that they don't like about. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to research what that is. But there is something that he did. I can. I wish I could remember it. If somebody remembers it in the chat, um, please inform us. But there's something that he did that would bring. I don't know. I really wish I could remember. But yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair that he would have to, be dealing with stuff like this. He is well into his 40s. His playing days are over. If he did make mistakes back then, it shouldn't be looked at as for him getting coaching jobs. I 100% agree with that. Now for us, I don't think, again, I don't want another first time head coach, but I think he should be a head coach by now. But yeah, it is that sucks. It really sucks, and it is what it is. Sucks the majority of people that leave the Chargers have success. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Um, let's see. Yeah, Turner and Sproles, 100%. Yep, Turner and Sproles. Yeah, they had good running games, very good running games, good screen games, tight ends. Were able to work over the middle of the field. Uh, Antonio Gates, and then 86, what's his name? Mali Maliuna, remember him? They were doing a lot of power run stuff. They were stopping the run. Jamal Williams talked about him a little bit last night. Sean Merriman, Sean Phillips, Sean Cooper, I believe, too, number 54. Carlos Polk. They had a lot of guys, unheralded guys, who were good though. They were very good. Marlon McCree in the secondary, Clinton Hart. I remember Quentin Jammer, Drayton Florence, all of those guys, man. They were all physical players, but they were all coached to be physical. They were all put in positions to be physical. That was a great team. Luis Castillo, I remember him as well too. I think he was a three technique. I can't remember who the other three technique. Igor Oshansky. There we go. Igor Oshansky. Who else? Who else was on that defense? I know Cromartie, until Cromartie came along. They just had guys that made plays. They had guys that made plays, a physical group. They got after the quarterback and they stopped the run. And they really punished a lot of quarterbacks too. So, I mean, it's That's what the Chargers should be trying to recreate, to be honest with you. That's when they had the most. That's when they had the most. That's when they had the most success. Let's see, is it racial slurring rape scandal. Oh, rape. Oh, okay. That's when he got. Yeah, okay, yeah. I think that's what it was. Was it a rape? Yeah, something like that. Something. Yes. That's okay. So everybody can see this is why this is pretty much why Eric Bieniemy hasn't got a job yet. It's some the R word type of scandal. That is not something that is going to play well in today's climate as well too. So yeah, I don't. I got to research it too, but yeah, that's some heavy stuff right there. That's some heavy stuff. Um, Vincent Jackson, yeah. Vincent Jackson. Remember Malcolm Floyd? Um, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Terrence Keel. Terrence Keel, definitely. Yeah, and definitely, yeah. Rest in peace, Vincent Jackson. That was a sad story, man. That hurt my heart to hear him go out the way that he went out. I loved him. He was a very very good receiver for us. Um, Very big, very physical. But again, you notice everything that I'm saying about all of these old guys, physical. Even the receivers, physical. That's what the Chargers should be trying to recreate. They should be trying to recreate that. Not they shouldn't be trying to be Kansas City West. Um, they should try to recreate that. Be as physical as you possibly can because they were able to go on the road and beat a lot of good teams playing that way, playing that style. Obviously, you had LT, one of the best running backs of all time. But you got to remember too, Philip Rivers was a game manager back then too. He wasn't airing it out. That wasn't air Phil back then. That's not air Philly back then. He was game managing Phil. Don't turn the ball over, Phil. There were several games where he had under 25 attempts, throwing attempts, home and road games where he had minimal attempts. The Chargers were playing good football then. Now, obviously, I'm not saying to do that with Justin Herbert. You want him throwing the ball; he's one of the best. But that is what they should be trying to recreate. That's when they had the most success because you can not play your best. You can have guys, make mistakes and all that stuff. If you're physical at the line of scrimmage, you're always going to have a chance to win. Always going to have a chance to win if you are physical at the line of scrimmage. It does not matter if you're able to get on the quarterback, if you're able to stop the run, if you're able to run the ball yourself, right? Protect your quarterback good enough, for him to complete some passes. You're always going to have a chance to win. Things don't need to be fancy. You don't have to win by 14, 17 points. You're always going to have a chance to win. And that's the biggest thing. The Chargers, they take themselves out of chances to win. That is the most frustrating part about it to me. They they don't have a chance to win. They just don't. They're not in opportunities to win because they haven't established anything, throughout the entire game, right? Offensively, defensively, they're just not in good positions to win. So I think if they're able to, try to at least try to recreate some of those teams, try to be as physical as you possibly can. We don't need to be Kansas City. We don't need a Tyreek Hill. Now we do need some speed on offense, obviously, but we don't need to recreate that type of team. The Chiefs are who they are. Nobody else is going to be them. There's no other Travis Kelce's running around the NFL. There's no other Andy Reid's. There's no other play callers like that. You have to be able to develop your own identity. I think Jim Harbaugh can do that as a coach. Honestly, I honestly think he can. Let's see, Marty Ball. Yeah, Marty Ball was when Breeze was a rookie. I remember Marty mentioned Breeze to put in Flutie. Yeah, it made Breeze stronger in the long run. Yeah, it did. It did. Because Marty was not going to go for all the mistakes. He wasn't going to go for the mistakes. You were either going to throw the ball where it needed to be thrown, throw it away. Don't take the sack, but you were going to be safe with the ball. You're going to be careful with the ball. You're going to take care of it, and you have a run game. Use it. And that's how Marty played. And a lot of people used to get on Marty all the time. But looking back at it now, it's like, damn, that worked. It worked. The Marty ball worked. And, obviously the Chargers fired him after a 14-2 season. But Marty ball worked. It did work. It got the Chargers to where they needed to go. It's just they had to, execute. But I don't think it was a Marty Schottenheimer thing. He did what he had to do as a coach to get them there. So, it is what it is. But I think the Chargers should try to recreate that as best as they possibly can. Um, so yeah, that's the best way to keep Mahomes off the field, get a physical team, and just continue to run the ball 100%. Especially too, it doesn't make sense either. Kansas City is a team that is built the way that they're built, and they're going to continue being built that way, right? You are not going to beat the Chiefs. You're not going to outscore them. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to outscore them. And if you get into shootouts with them, you're going to lose. You're going to lose most of these games. It doesn't make sense why the Chargers would go and try to be the Chiefs, be the 05, be the 06 Chargers, right? Be physical, run the ball. The defensive front is small, right? Everybody aside from Chris Jones and I think number 91, Nadi, all these guys are like under 300 pounds, right? They're defensive linemen under 300 pounds. Their linebackers are small but fast. Get in there, get a fullback, get in their face, lean on them all game long. Lean on them all game long. If you're able to do that throughout the first three quarters, come fourth quarter, those guys are going to be gassed and they're not going to be making plays. They're going to be running all over the field. Those 3 and 4 yard runs are going to turn into 8 and 9 yard gains after that, if you're able to do it successfully. That's what the Chargers used to do back then. If you're able to do that successfully, once you get in the fourth quarter, you're going to be able to physically dominate the Chiefs, right? And then it's really going to put pressure on Mahomes, going to put pressure on the offense to go out there and make things happen. Mahomes can throw you a pick sometimes. He can get a little wild high sometimes. So that's the best way to beat the Chiefs to me. And that's something that you can sustain all season long, right? And you don't have to put in special stuff to go out there and beat them. You don't have to get all psyched up like the Chargers do. No, let's just go out and play our physical brand of football. And our physical brand of football is more physical than you. It doesn't matter where we play at, Arrowhead, SoFi, wherever, on the moon. We're going to come in. We're going to move you the fuck out the way. You're not going to do anything against us. You're not going to stop us. We're going to control the clock, and we're going to beat you, right? And you don't have to do anything special. You don't have. It's regular Chiefs week, right? Especially if you know you have a team that is more physically aggressive, right? More physical at the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball. You don't have to put nothing special in. Just go out there and dominate them physically. That's what needs to happen. So that's what the Chargers should do, in my opinion. That's what they do. That's what they should do. Later on, Larry, take care, man. Have a good one. Pull the Cowboys and hit a defensive draft. All right, 100%. So I'm doing a video. I'm gonna be working on the video tonight. I normally don't like to give it away, but Tom Telesco is on his. This is the last year of his contract, and I'm doing a video tomorrow. I'm gonna be dropping it tomorrow about who the Chargers should get as GM to replace him. And to me, the answer is very, very clear. It's only one man. His name is Will McClay. He is the vice president of player personnel with the Dallas Cowboys. That's the only guy on my radar. Vice president of player. I think that's what the title is. I have to get it out for the video, get to his title. But Will McClay, he's drafted 4 Pro Bowlers at offensive line. Everybody that the Dallas Cowboys have had, Micah Parsons, Dak Prescott drafted in the 4th round, Ezekiel Elliott, everybody who has balled for the Cowboys in the past about 10 years, it's been a Will McClay thing. So to me, that is the number one target that the Chargers should have. Like, you should have other guys on your list, but he should be number one, written in huge letters. Will McClay. That should be who the Chargers should take for their GM job. And I think, again, just like Jim Harbaugh, he's for the taking. He is a guy that he has drafted all of these. He was giving Jerry Jones, all of these guys to draft, right? 1st round, 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round, right? All throughout the draft, he's gotten a bunch of talent. But Will McClay will never, ever, 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 ever have the title of GM with the Dallas Cowboys organization. That is a Jerry Jones thing. And once Jerry passes on, it's going to be with his sons, right? It's going to be a family thing. He will never, ever have the title of GM. He will never have the final say. And he will never, ever have as much power as he can have as a GM with the Chargers, right? He will never, ever have as much power. So to me, that answer is very, very clear. Will McClay, the best personnel guy by far in the NFL. There's not a better personnel guy that you can think of. There's nobody else out there has drafted 4 Pro Bowlers 4 Pro Bowlers on the offensive line. Excuse me, 4 All Pros, 5 Pro Bowlers if you count Lyle Collins as well too on the offensive line. This is what Will McClay has done. Will McClay is the guy who convinced Jerry Jones to not take Johnny Manziel. Jerry Jones wanted Johnny Manziel so badly. He wanted him so badly in the draft. Will McClay said, no, we need to take Travis Frederick, the center from Wisconsin, right? Everybody laughed at the Cowboys when they took that pick. He is going to be in the Hall of Fame. This is what Will McClay does. He's the best personnel guy, the absolute best personnel guy in football. I've seen somebody say the Raven scout. I know who you're talking about. I can't remember what his name. He's good, but he's not Will McClay. Will McClay is the best. He's the best in the business. It doesn't get any better than him. Go and look at the Cowboys roster from, again, the past 10 years. It's been Will McClay. Everybody that they have found has been Will McClay. He is the best. He's the best player personnel person in the NFL, right? He has found a bunch of talent. And, you know, the Cowboys, they just have not put it together. He went to find all this talent, and he gave all this talent to Jason Garrett. And obviously they underachieved because you had Jason Garrett as head coach for, was it 10 years, whatever it was, right? Obviously you underachieved, right? But if you give this talent to the right head coach, you are going to go places. And if the Chargers, if they hire the right head coach, they hire Will McClay as GM, they will be in Super Bowl with that. Because if you bring his talent, his eye for talent, and his willingness to fix areas of teams. The Cowboys had one of the worst defenses 2 years ago. Now it is the strength of their team, right? They addressed it right away. Even, you know, with the salary cap issues, Prescott getting paid, Ezekiel Elliott getting paid, all of these issues, they went in and addressed the defense right away. They were able to make, you know, lemonade out of lemons. And that's Will McClay. He did that. He's the personnel guy. He knows who to bring in. Free agency, he knows who to bring in. The draft, he is the best in the business. There will be a steady flow of talent coming for the Chargers if Will McClay is the GM. And that's the guy that you have to get. If you're the Spanos family, you got to go and offer that guy money. You got to go and offer him money, and you got to offer him power and say, we trust you. Your track record speaks for itself. Your resume speaks for itself. Everybody, you got to remember, everybody was puzzled when the Chargers, when the Cowboys took Michael Parsons a couple years ago in the first round. Everybody was puzzled. I was a little bit puzzled too. I was like, what are they doing? They kind of have 2 good linebackers. That obviously was, I think at this point right now, the best pick so far in that draft a couple of years ago. Michael Parsons has been otherworldly. He clearly all pro linebacker, all pro at rushing the passer. That was a huge, huge pickup. Imagine a Michael Parsons on the Chargers defense with the right coach, right? Imagine that type of player. This is what Will McClay has done for the Cowboys. He has put together a very, very, very good group of talent. But again, he will never, ever have the title of GM, and he'll never be that guy with the power in the Cowboys organization. It is a family organization. He's on the outs. He's not family. So as good of a job as he's done, he's not family. He will not have that. So I'm going to do a video on that. I'm going to dive deeper into it. I think the Chargers could really benefit from having him there. But that's the guy that I think the Chargers should go after, GM. Again, there's other guys going to be out there, but he should be number one. He should obviously be number one that the Chargers should go out and get. But I'm going to go ahead and cut the live short here. Been on for about an hour and 40 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it here. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Really, really appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow with more content. We're dropping another video tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it. And until next time.